let's try to keep this person here and calm, because if you try to move this person, you risk having more than one victim.
That's always possible.
Because, if he jumps in and like tries to swim there, but he's panicking or whatever, I mean, you have to minimize the victims.
Yeah, and so that's what was going on. It didn't look so good from some people's points of view, I suppose. And there were a lot of different statements that were made, some of which are rather apocryphal. There were many weird things. A lot of his story didn't make sense. And then there was, one of the local Australian police overheard him there was a body viewing at the coroner's. They had to identify the body, and they left him with her body for a little while. And a policeman overheard him mumbling to her, "I'm so sorry, and I never meant to hurt you, and I shouldn't have kept taking you down, and I'm sorry, I couldn't stop it." That's what the police said, Gabe said, to Tina's body.
All those statements go both ways.
Yeah,
kind
Let's talk about that in theories, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And so that's where we're at. It went on. It was originally classified as an unfortunate accident. There was, of course, an investigation anyway, but it was still classified as an accident. But then one of the divers, actually, that was on the boat, remembered feeling a little at the time, feeling a little bit uneasy about the situation, and thinking that after talking directly to Gabe and hearing his story, feeling like it just didn't make any sense. And when he got back to the States, he looked up Tina's father, Tommy Thomas, and they arranged a little meeting, and this guy tells Tommy all the doubts that he had in his mind about this whole thing. And of course, the Thomas family, they've been kind of wondering about this whole situation for a long time now. This sort of gelled things for them, and they started this campaign to get the Australians to reopen the investigation. Eventually, so compressing a lot of stuff in a small amount of time, they did. They re-interviewed a lot of people. They had an inquest and everything, and they decided to indict Gabe for murder, because the theory being that he had... Oh, and I forgot about... There was another doctor, Dr. Stutz, who also... Of course, this was sometime after the fact when he was interviewed. He testified that he spotted Gabe and Tina underwater, because he followed them into the water later. He saw them, and Gabe was holding Tina in a bear hug.
Oh yeah,
underwater.
I forgot about the bear hug thing.
The bear hug, and so the police's theory is that he grabbed her, cranked off her air supply, and basically held her in that bear hug so that she couldn't get to the surface or do anything. And then once she had died and drowned and everything, he turned her air supply back on so everything would look okay, and let her just drop, and concocted this whole ludicrous story about how it was all a horrible accident when he had actually murdered her. And by the way, it turns out there was some life insurance money involved. Yeah, a decently large amount. According to Tina's dad, she said that not long before the wedding, she had told him that Gabe wanted her to increase the amount of her life insurance, and also make him the beneficiary of it.
Well, they were about to be married, so the beneficiary thing makes sense.
It kind of does, yeah.
And I don't know, maybe the increases make sense too.
Yeah, it might.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of reasons to change it. I mean, I don't know what his reasonings were, but again, this is one of those things, can be very innocent or very, very...
It can look kind of bad. I think the way it was set up is where she was working. And I used to have a job that was like this. You could get the minimum, basically, employer paid. You get the minimum life insurance. And that's what she was doing. And he just said, well, it doesn't cost that much in premiums. You should bump that up. You really should. It doesn't cost all that much. And you get a lot huger benefit out of the whole thing. And so I don't know that he actually pressured her, if he just sort of said it offhand one day, you ought to increase that. It wouldn't cost you that much. And so I don't know exactly how that... Again, that we have Tina's father for this. Tina never, as far as I know, she never told anybody else about this. So we only have his word for the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out that the life insurance did actually play a role in the prosecution.
So this is in Australia?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the Australian prosecution, which is now charging him with murder.
So are we in theories or?
Not quite.
No, this is still, we haven't even got to theories. This is what happens.
Yeah, this is what happened. And I'm compressing it as much as I can. I mean, this story is pretty huge, actually. It was a huge sensation, especially in Australia, but even it generated some news up here, too, in the States. But turns out the policy was worth about $33,000.
Not a lot.
So that was not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Annual salary.
Yeah, essentially. Gabe was not the beneficiary of it. It's hard to say if that was a sufficient motive or not. Sounds like not to me. But that did play a part in the prosecution's reasoning. That was the motive for doing it.
Oh, that he was mad that he wasn't the beneficiary?
No, that maybe he was mistakenly believed that she had jacked up the amount and had made him the beneficiary, but he was too careless apparently to check before they left for the honeymoon.
That would be a jacked up amount for me. Like I
33?
have the similar situation as you were talking about, that my employer pays a certain amount, and it's not 33 a year, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a definite amount that I will murder somebody for. 33.
It's not 33.
No, not 33. No, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, no. And by the way, you guys, I've been meaning to talk to you about life insurance.
So he is convicted in Australia?
They knocked it down. He essentially negotiated a plea for manslaughter. So he returned voluntarily to Australia to stand trial for the charges and basically agreed to plead guilty to manslaughter and was sentenced to like a year in prison. And then it was lengthened to about a year and a half because the family was upset. The Thomases were upset.
So he spent a year and a half?
He spent, a certain amount of time in Australian prison. And eventually was, after he got out, he was deported and sent back to the States. And the Australians had, meanwhile, a lot of the investigation actually had been, what's the word I'm thinking of here, at the aegis of Alabama police. Essentially, somebody
done at the behest of.
Yeah, at the behest of the Tommy Thomas got in touch with the local police in Alabama and spelled the whole thing out to them. And so they had actually gone, the Alabama police had lit a fire into the Australians a little bit, ginned up interest, gotten their conviction. Now he's back. They want to try him for murder here in the States, which in their theory was, well, this looks like a coldly calculated, well-planned out murder. So he must have planned this back here in Alabama. Therefore, we can prosecute him for murder, even though it took place halfway around the world. So they were going to take him to trial and try to convict him of murder. And apparently the judge threw it all out.
Yeah, they had no case.
Yeah, essentially the judge said, "What are you doing here?
Yeah.
You got no case." Okay, so that's where it is. Gabe has since remarried. His new wife is not dead.
She does look a lot like Tina.
Well, that's not surprising. We all have a type, right? Yeah, it's not.
I know.
Yeah.
I threw that out there just because I see it everywhere, and people just get excited over that.
Imagine that first date, though. And it's like, oh, you ever been married? Oh, yeah, she died. What happened? Oh, she died on our honeymoon. Everybody thinks I killed her. I didn't, I swear. But they call me the honeymoon killer, just so you know. But apparently they made it past that little hump and wound up getting married. And she's, like I said, still alive. So that's about it. There's a lot more out there. If you want to do more research on our little mystery, there's tons of stuff out there. It's time for us to get into theories, but before we do that, let us take a really brief break. Take a look at me now.
The roof is leaking.
I'm just standing here.
Oh, think twice.
You know what I mean.
Another day in paradise.
If leaving me is easy.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
This must be love.
I missed again.
Tomorrow never knows.
Do you know what any of that means? Yeah, me neither. You should probably pick up a copy of Not Dead Yet by Phil Collins so he can explain it. Or, better yet, why don't you get it from Audible and let him read the book himself? I mean, who doesn't love to just sit around and listen to that guy all day? Yeah, well, there is the past Mrs. Collins, but that's just not fair. So go to Audible. Audible just launched the first ever binge listening event, and you are invited to binge on great listens and big savings with their biggest sale ever. Enjoy the benefits of Gold Audible membership, celebrity-narrated Audible books, new podcasts, and audio shows, exclusive content, and more. A $50 savings since Audible's annual membership retails for $149.95. The sale ends June 28, 2017. Learn more at audible.com/binge.
Okay, we're back. Time to talk about theories. There are essentially three theories here. One is, murder. That's the prosecution's theory. He killed her. And it's not surprising to me that some people were a little suspicious because a lot of parts of Gabe's story really didn't actually make a lot of sense. Like the part about not being able to catch up with her when she was sinking underwater. I mean, that didn't make a huge amount of sense to me. Of course, as you know, is awfully suspicious about the insurance policy thing and wanting her to bump up the amount and all that stuff.
Of course, we know that really amounts to nothing.
Mm-hmm. There's also that talk about Gabe's controlling personality. And so maybe after a week in Australia, maybe something or another caused Gabe to sort of think that, well, Tina is just a little wild stallion that'll never be tamed, and so I've got to kill her, right?
Silly,
Wow.
but yeah.
Right, yeah. Or maybe she flirted with some handsome Australian dude, and then he went nuts with jealousy and decided to kill her.
Yeah, she met Paul Hogan.
Yeah, and I got to say about this part is that if he was the total controlling sort of person, manipulative, controlling, whatever, and he found somebody that was willing to put up with that, I wouldn't have thought he would have killed her.
I'd agree.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like that's a find.
Yeah.
Another thing is the battery malfunction in his dive computer. Again,
Which
what we talked about.
Yeah.
The fact that he reversed the battery but it was beeping before and now it's working. Well, apparently the prosecution didn't actually trouble themselves
To try
to figure out exactly how the thing worked. Yeah, and actually there's another website that's out there that's got a fantastic amount of information about this case. It's actually written by a professional diver. And he explains all the whole battery thing. But apparently the prosecution made much of this. They really said that was part of their theory, is that he wanted to murder her, he planned it out, and he faked a malfunction in his dive computer so that he could get her by herself and not go down with all those other divers.
Well, then there's they also figured he was doing something weird or murder, was guilty. Proof of his guilt was shown in the fact that he always got so upset about all the stuff on her gravesite, all the flowers, and he kept hauling them away.
Yeah, her family would leave flowers there, and and they kept disappearing.
And then somehow they chained him or tied him down.
They started wiring him down, cabling him down, and stuff, and then they would still disappear. And they finally put a closed circuit, like a camera, out there, and it turns out Gabe was busted. He was the one removing the flowers.
I don't think there's anything to that, though, because he may have thought that it was highly disrespectful, because this is something I have friends that refer to like where there's an accident and people leave memorials and balloons and all of that, and then nobody takes that down, and 3 or 4 weeks later it's
like
all
crap.
wilted.
Yeah.
Well, they call them, my friends refer to those as trash trees.
Yeah.
And so he may have said, "You jerks, why are you turning my dead wife's grave into a trash tree and removing it?"
That's the thing I don't know. It's like some of the stuff they left was plastic artificial flowers, which he thought were tacky and ugly. As far as the other flowers, I don't know if he was removing fresh roses or if they were like a week old and kind of dead looking. I don't know. Yeah, I really don't. But apparently, a lot was made of that, and I don't know what to make of it myself personally. But and there's also the fact maybe he just did it out of pure spite. And a lot of us, let's face it, we can be a perfectly decent person and not murderers and still be kind of petty.
Yeah.
That happens. It does happen. Well, of course, there was the other thing. The agents on the entry line up at the bow.
Koreans?
Yeah, those 2 Koreans. He said he talked to a couple of Asian people, but when the police went back and interviewed everybody, the only Asian people that were out there that day didn't remember any incident.
Okay, but we're saying they interviewed and nobody remembered, or just specifically the 2 Koreans didn't remember? Because it's possible he mistook their race.
Yeah,
Right? So did they ask everybody?
Well, the way they went about the whole thing is they didn't necessarily track down like everybody from, say, the Jazz 2. They didn't. I think they got a hold of these Koreans. I think they might have interviewed them via email. I don't think it was actually a one-on-one email.
I think that's suspicious. I just think it's not. I think they didn't do their due diligence.
It's entirely possible that they bungled that a little bit. It's also entirely possible that the Asians maybe at the time this guy is all disturbed and they're like, "What the hell, dude? We're on vacation. Leave us alone."
Yeah.
And then afterwards they hear what happened. Oh my God, somebody drowned. That's what's their husband. Oh man, I feel really bad. And so maybe they were just kind of embarrassed to talk about
Don't
it.
say anything out of guilt.
This guy desperately needed our help, and we blew him off. Oh, I feel kind of bad about that.
Yeah.
So maybe I really don't know. Or it could have just been memory, because I don't think these people were contacted for quite some time after the actual drowning.
It does seem like you would remember that. But again, it's so easy. I have friends who are friends with people, and they said, "Oh yeah, his mom's Chinese," and that guy's like, "No." I'm German, like 100% German, but they think he's, half of some sort of Asian descent, and
Yeah.
I mean, identifying race is just impossible.
Well,
I
it could have been that these people they had their masks on, and the masks were just clamped down a little too tight, and it was sort of pulling their face like this to make their eyes kind of
Look a little
narrower.
Under
Yeah.
pressure.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
So
Who
okay,
knows? But
Well, there's the whole bear hug thing.
there's the Dr. Stutz and his testimony about the bear hug.
So can we talk about that for a second? Because
Sure.
that makes absolutely no sense. So I talked to a couple people like you did, people I knew who could dive, and it takes like a dozen revolutions
Oh,
of
yeah.
the knob on a tank to
Yeah.
turn it all the way off and then back on.
Yeah,
And
at
it's
least
not
at
an
least a dozen.
Yeah, and it's not an easy thing to do because it is under pressure. So it's not like your faucet, in your garden where you just reach, and it just turns. No, you've got to put some force into it. It would have taken him a good little bit to do that in a bear hug scenario.
Yeah, probably would have. Yeah.
So I mean, it
wouldn't also her sensor her computer have shown that?
You would think
if
it
she
would.
had just stopped consuming air for a little while.
You would think it would have shown that. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I don't know how. Are you getting at would it have shown that the air going through the regulator was reduced? Is that what you're getting at, Devin?
Yeah, I guess it would have shown like a decrease, right?
Well, I'm sure it did show a decrease because she stopped breathing, but I don't know that it would have been able to distinguish that decrease being because the valve was turning. I don't think it would record that kind of content.
No,
fair,
it
yeah.
wouldn't. I don't think. No, and those things don't record everything. Especially this is 2003. It's hard to remember, but actually, storage was not as easy and tiny as it is today. It's amazing what we can get into a tiny little card these days.
Oh, yeah.
2003 was a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was different.
So, are there more suspicious things here? or-
Let's see. Well, we had the bear hug, and there was the fact that she became amazingly negatively buoyant all of a sudden, which that's actually there. Some people have wondered if Gabe actually deliberately overweighted her.
I have
when they were
another
back on the boat.
question about this because
Yeah.
I'm not a diver, and I think a lot of
Yeah.
our listeners are not divers. So she put weights in her pockets in her vest,
Of her vest, yeah.
and were those pockets? Basically the question is could they not have just unzipped the pocket and taken the weight out?
Yeah, well, I was asking Austin about that, and he said that it's when you're actually out there, it's kind of hard to do. When you get your tanks on and everything, it's kind of hard to get to those pockets.
But somebody else Gabe couldn't have done that for her.
Not if she was in a panic.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
fair.
if have you ever seen anybody get suited up to dive? If they need assistance, they're standing there and you're kind of arms a bit at your side and you're lumbering around and they are getting to everything and it is then hard to get at it yourself because remember she's in a wetsuit.
Right. No, I know.
So her
I
hands
just
are going to be covered.
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah.
the
No,
question
that was
is-
one of the things I was wondering too. Same thing was how easy is it to grab those weights and chuck them
Apparently
and just
not.
lighten yourself up a little bit.
It is easy if she had been wearing a weight belt.
Well, exactly.
If
and
she
wasn't.
if she had a belt, then because I've known people who've been underwater and was it a sea? He turned around and there was a seal, and he wasn't expecting it. It was like inches away from his face. It scared the holy crap out of him, and he just popped the belt and shot towards the surface
Yeah.
because it just freaked him out.
Uh-huh.
He wouldn't have been able to do that had he tucked them in if he had a vest
Okay.
on at the time.
Yeah.
So
no, I know
again,
that,
depends
and
on equipment.
It depends. It does. I know Wade Singleton actually dropped his belt that day when he had to get up off the floor with her. He dropped his belt.
Yeah.
So but that's a different outfit.
Yep.
And I think Gabe did say something about not being able to. It would have been great if he could have. If she had been wearing a belt, he could have dropped the
Just
belt,
dropped
and that
the
would have
belt.
helped things. But
Yeah.
he wasn't able to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
And the next step after that is to shuck everything, which is problematical too, because then what you got to do is you got to go straight up to the surface, and that's got its issues.
Yeah, well, and if he dropped all of her equipment, they would have had to been in the buddy scenario, sharing a breather, the regulator, or if he had figured out where his original regulator was floating around him, then they could have both used them. But
Yeah.
he apparently didn't have the wherewithal to do that.
Yeah, and it turns out he didn't find out till later when he was cleaning it that the mouthpiece had actually been knocked off of it,
Oh,
so it wasn't really usable anyway.
Got it.
Yeah, and don't know when exactly that happened. It might have been in the incident when it got knocked off its face and out of his mouth. Another thing that was really kind of suspicious was his claim that he was unable to dive fast enough to catch her.
Which we've talked.
Yeah, but I mean, from the prosecution's point of view, if you want to drown your wife, you wanted to spend some extra quality time at the bottom of the ocean drowning, well, that's what you want to do is let her sink and go and then just, come back later. And I still am not entirely able to make sense of his claim that he couldn't catch her. That does seem awfully strange.
Remember that he is used to swimming in freshwater,
Yeah,
and when you are in saltwater, your buoyancy goes up.
yeah.
So he may have been used to swimming down and expecting to make a certain speed and is not going as fast as he expects, so therefore is judging it and saying there's no way I'm going to get there.
Yeah. And
Again, perception.
yeah, and there's also another explanation, which I'll talk about in one of my other theories.
Okay.
But another thing that was suspicious is his slow ascent. After he left her, it took him like 3 minutes to get topside. I think almost 3 minutes, although it's hard to say when they were using his dive computer, and the dive computer goes in 1 minute increments, and so it could have been like
Just barely over 2.
it could have been 2 minutes 5 seconds, something like that. Yeah, it does. It does look like from the ascent, it does look like he made a fairly rapid ascent. Again, you'd think in a panic situation like that, he would have just thrown all caution to the winds and just zipped up to the surface as ASAP.
I guess, yeah. I don't know how recently he had taken the
rescue class?
but
It wasn't recent.
okay. Well, I know that on land first aid thing, the number one thing they drill into you is like you have to put yourself first. You have to put yourself first. You have to make sure you do not become a victim as well.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so if he was thinking, okay, I got to do this slow. I can't get the bends. I can't,
Can't
whereas Wade Singleton, right, is his name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was a very experienced diver, was confident in his skill to be able to make that ascent in an emergency situation. Dangerous, sure, but was more confident in his ability and, frankly, probably had done this dive a million times and knew where he was.
Yeah.
Right? Because Gabe probably also was like, I don't know where I am. I don't know where anybody is. I can't get lost in the ocean if I just flail around and go someplace. And again, I don't necessarily want to defend it, but I do want to say that it's totally possible that in his brain he was like, okay, I have to preserve my own life.
Well, and there
I have
was
to stay calm.
There was, by the way, the fact that he did take a small break from his ascent to talk to the Asian divers on the line
At the access point,
the access on the access line.
So that probably added to his time up
that
as
added
well.
to his time up as well. As far as Wade goes, I don't know exactly Wade actually entered the water. He went out there in the boat with them, but he might have. They went in like a little less than 10 minutes before the whole disaster happened. Wade might have just actually entered the water just a minute before, and then swimming down the boat, and sees her, gets her up. If you've only been underwater for a minute or two, then it's not nearly as serious as if you've been under a longer period of time.
Right.
Correct.
It's, the longer you're underwater, so maybe that's what
And
happened.
again, Gabe may have been inexperienced enough to not even be thinking about that, to be thinking like, oh, I've been under for, I need a lot of time to decompress, versus Wade, again, who is experienced and would have known my risk for my own personal injury is very low.
Yeah, and I'm sure when they probably teach you in dive school, they probably like
You err towards
scenario.
caution.
Totally.
Yeah.
And totally. And so Wade probably with experience knew that he could really push the envelope a lot.
So any other...
No, that's about it. I've got to say, though, that there's been some... we talked about the battery malfunction. I don't think that really counts. Dr. Stutz, there was an interesting webpage out there that I mentioned already. This guy actually looked at all the various data from dive computers, et cetera, and found out when Dr. Stutz actually entered the water. Turns out that by the time he entered the water, Gabe was already kind of starting his way up from Tina.
So there was no way.
So there was actually no way. If the guy saw anybody bear hugging anybody, you might have seen Wade bringing Tina up off the floor of the ocean. Maybe that's what he saw, but he could not actually have seen this bear hug if it was Gabe and Tina. But nonetheless, his testimony was accepted in court.
Right.
But it looks to me like it's kind of questionable. The unable to dive fast, well, we'll talk about that. That is kind of inexplicable. But I don't think he murdered her because, and here's why. Number one, he didn't really have a strong motive that I can see.
No.
Unless his motive was, well, he wanted to go have his wife die on their honeymoon tragically so he could get a lot of sympathy and maybe write a book about it or maybe a movie deal or something like that. Although
that's a long game.
that's
Yeah. That's not good.
that's very, very likely to backfire on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. That's the reason I really don't think he murdered her, besides the lack of motive, is that if he truly had killed her, then it would have made no sense for him to abandon her body underwater the way he did.
No.
Because he should have brought her up. You got to remember, the official theory
That
is
would make him the hero for at least doing
trying.
his job as a dive buddy.
Instead of making him look like, well, basically, it didn't make him look too good that he abandoned her. Not at all. And remember, the official theory of the prosecution is that Gabe shut off her air supply and held her under until she drowned.
And just a quick thing, just for anybody who doesn't know, I've thought about this, and I know somebody's going to ask, well, could he have just kinked the air hose, like you do with the garden hose? But you can't. Those hoses are super dense.
No,
you cannot.
They're
fold
made
them.
to not do that.
Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
I wonder why.
Because it's kind of important they don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he could have grabbed the regulator out of her mouth or the respirator and just pulled it away from her and just like not giving it back, and she would have drowned maybe. But nonetheless, no matter how you cut it, if he deliberately murdered her by drowning her, then there's no reason not to bring her up.
Yeah, he's already got her.
She's already dead.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not going to like squeal or anything like that. And it certainly would have made him look better, a lot better, because abandoning your dive buddy is a huge deal. I mean, Wade Singleton said, remember him, said that he thought that Gabe should have been prosecuted for that alone, just abandoning her, even if he didn't kill her. He should have been prosecuted for that. And so, yeah.
All right, so that's theory number one.
So that's why I don't believe that murder is the correct theory here.
I agree.
I don't think that Gabe actually was the honeymoon killer.
Agreed.
Yeah. And so the next theory, of course, is that it was all an accident. Gabe was pretty much telling the truth. So Tina loses it, which is entirely possible. Not the first time it's happened.
She's a total novice.
And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If she had just remained calm, I bet things would have been just fine. And
so, one thing about Tina that we haven't talked about is in the paperwork that she had to fill out with the dive company, it said, do you have any heart conditions?
Yeah.
And she said no, which was a lie. She did.
She did have an arrhythmia that had been corrected with surgery, I think, just a couple of years before.
Yeah. So that's something that they would not be too comfortable with and would have put her under even more scrutiny. They might not have let her dive.
Yeah, maybe not.
Is the way that I understood it. So the fact that she ignored it makes me think that she may have brought some of it on herself.
Could be. I mean, the cause of death was officially drowning. There was no evidence of any sort of heart attack or anything like that. But you never know. I mean, maybe her arrhythmia kicked in again or something
Caused
like that.
Caused a panic attack. I mean, it would have been more of a panic attack, which, if she had a heart condition, may have made it even worse in her mind. Oh God, I'm having a heart attack, and she's freaking out and
starts to panic.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is that she's got air, she's got a regulator in her mouth, but if she's freaking out and she starts yelling, that's when all the water gets in, and that's why she would drown. Or
if she hyperventilates and sort of kind of passes out, whoops, that'll do it. Yeah. So, again, if she had just been a little calmer about things, it probably would have been good. I think Gabe...
And that's not a judge. I know that the way you said that is not a judgment on any way on Tina.
Oh, no.
Just so anybody listening to it, sometimes the way we say these things get misperceived. So
it's a very scary alien environment.
It's super scary. I was just remembering that I've never been scuba diving or even snorkeling really because I don't like water in my face. But no,
fine.
it's fine. I don't.
That's why she never showers.
True. But I remember watching the videos for the Ben McDaniels thing, and even just watching the YouTube videos, and it was a little unsettling.
Too much.
Yeah, it was that was too much.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like the whole underwater thing, but that's just me, you know. I mean, but even I've done the snorkeling and I've done other fun stuff in the water, but I'm not sure what would happen if I was down there 50 feet, and maybe I would lose it too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But and similarly, you don't know what you would do if your dive partner were doing that thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, or what I would do if my dive partner put me in a bear hug and shut off my air. Oh, what am I saying? Yeah.
So we pretty much agree it was not just an accident the way that Gabe.
Well, it could have been an accident. I mean, so Gabe,
but not the way that Gabe represented it.
I actually think that it may very well have been exactly the way he represented it. It is just that they were both so inept
Yeah.
at handling the situation
Yeah.
that they literally, their combined actions was her cause of death.
I think
Got it.
so because I mean they didn't need to fight the current to try to get back to the access point. They could have just gone straight up. That's
Because
what
how long is it? What's the distance from access point to access point, Joe? It's
about 100, 110 meters. And
yeah, so it's not a huge, especially when you're already in a moving current.
Yeah, they could have actually. It might have been faster to just swim downstream instead
I
of trying
would-
to swim
yeah.
back up.
And
Just
easier.
Yeah, or the alternative is just go straight up.
Yeah,
Go straight up.
ascend.
But and so that might have compounded the situation by trying to go back there again.
And just to pause here for a second to talk about the fact that everyone's like, oh, Gabe was super domineering and blah, blah, blah. It sounds like he just was like, yeah, okay, Tina, we're going to do what you want to do. He,
Yeah.
in a situation where you're kind of a jerk who's
Uh,
super domineering, aren't you going to be, no, this is the right way?
That's right.
You're
No,
not going to
biatch.
say, okay, I
am your
we're gonna,
man. We will
we're
do as I
gonna-
say.
You're not going to say, I mean, it sounds like kind of what he was thinking was, all right, what she wants to do is going to be the best way to calm her. We're going to do what she wants to do. Let's
Sure.
go do this.
That's
Even
that.
though he may or may not have known it was the wrong call.
Yeah.
It sounds
he
like
might
he
have
knew.
also considered that to be the right call.
You got to remember
Yeah.
too that at this point, I mean, he might not have even been aware that this is a total life and death situation.
Probably he
He might
wasn't.
have just thought, well, she's wigging out a little bit. We're going to get her back to the line.
Mhm.
Once she gets her hand on the line, she'll calm down and she'll
Mhm.
relax, and he's probably, at least initially,
Yeah.
it's possible that he thought, hey, she'll be fine. We'll just get her back to the
Yeah.
line
Mhm.
and she'll settle down.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't work out that way.
No.
So I would not say that this is totally beyond the realm of possibility. But there's one more theory.
I like this theory the best.
You like this theory? Which is that Gabe did not murder her. It was an accident, but he's also not quite telling the truth about the whole thing.
All right. So
yeah.
show me what you got here.
Yeah, it's statements to the police, which I read. I read his entire, well, not everything. I read his entire October 23rd statement. There's a transcript out there. And I sent you guys a link to that. Did you guys read that?
Some.
Yeah.
There's a lot there.
There's a lot there, and it's hard to read. And not because I'm semi-literate or anything like that, but just because of the way it's been transcribed and the way he speaks doesn't really translate to the written page very well. I'm told that the video of it is actually much, much better for understanding what he's saying.
Okay.
And there are transcription errors as well, which doesn't help. But his statements to the police indicate that he thought that Tina was experiencing a lot of stress and anxiety and maybe even panic. But what if it wasn't her that lost it? What if it was Gabe who lost it? And so what if Tina didn't actually knock his mask and respirator off of his face? What if he panicked and knocked hers off of her face and she drowned? What if that happened?
Oh, like he clocked her in the head and she was semi-conscious and therefore drowned because of that?
And it might be that, and I'm not no casting aspersions on anybody. Anybody can again lose it and just panic a little bit and cause something like this accidentally, and maybe not want to fess up to it.
So you're saying something to the effect of shakes out, he accidentally swings and clobbers her in the head, and that's what then starts the whole drowning.
Clobbers her in the head, knocks her mask and respirator off of her face.
But her
Maybe.
mask and her mask was in place, wasn't it?
Yeah, you could have gotten it back into place. I mean, but
Okay.
her mask and respirator were in place, yes.
But
But even leaving that aside, he might have panicked also.
Okay.
well,
okay.
I guess one question would be then on this theory is why was it that her oxygen consumption was so much higher, and it sounds like his was fairly normal.
Yeah.
So
I mean, a lot higher than what an experienced diver would use.
right, but not. I mean, it sounds like hers was really high.
Kind of, yeah, it was.
Yeah. So like, I mean, that feeds into the theory that she was the one freaking out and hyperventilating, not him.
Mhm.
But
She's breathing shallow and fast. He's
Yeah.
breathing deep and hard
yeah, but
instead of calm and even.
yeah, but when you look at it this way, if you think that Gabe actually had a panic attack, then even if he didn't knock the mask off her face, if he was the one who was really panicking, or maybe they both were panicking. One of the anxieties that he said that he had was, well, the current was super strong,
yeah,
which I think is what's the big deal. They're on a drift dive where they just have to drift down the length of the boat.
yeah,
And he also was talking about to the police again, said, well, they lost sight of the entry rope on the bow, and he knew that there was an exit line on the stern of the ship, but that was, as far as he was concerned, that was 100 miles away.
meters.
That was, well, but as far as he was
miles.
concerned,
Got
yeah.
it.
But
Sorry.
yeah, it was 100 meters away maybe, but obviously it wasn't visible. It wouldn't be visible for a while. He expressed some anxiety about not being able to see it and maybe missing it
Got
and
it.
being swept out to sea. So I don't think this is a rational concern personally. I mean, it is in a sense, but at the same time, it'd actually be very easy to find that thing. All you got to do is stay over the ship.
Mm-hmm.
On that day, the current was not parallel to the ship. It was actually about 10 degrees off, according to what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
So if you stayed at the same point, you entered right on the bow, stayed in that same exact point without moving a muscle, you would be blown off course enough that you probably would miss that line. Because by my back of the envelope calculation, they would have missed it by about 17 meters. Which is just beyond the realm. Maybe they would have seen it, maybe not. But of course, at the same time, you know what to do. There's a huge ship underneath you. All you got to do is kick your fins a little bit and get back over the ship, the center line of the ship, and boom, you're lined up for your exit line. So it seems like an irrational, and again, there's no way underwater, there's no way that Tina somehow communicated this through body language or sign language. She didn't communicate that to Gabe. That was an anxiety that was all his own.
Yeah.
Entirely his own. Also, by the way, there is mention also that the people at the dive company actually talked about what to do and how to signal them if you went beyond the exit buoy.
In fairness, though, the people at the dive company were supposed to have done a test dive with Tina and didn't.
Well, in fairness, yeah. I mean,
so maybe they said they told them and
in
didn't.
fairness to the dive company, you can tell somebody what to do, but for them to pay attention and register and retain that is a whole nother matter.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Another thing that makes me think that maybe Gabe was in a state of panic is the whole part, this is the part that truly doesn't make sense, is where he's trying to chase Tina downward as she's sinking. And he couldn't catch her, which makes utterly no sense to me, or the experts I talked to. And again, there was a whole question of, well, was his BCD way overinflated? And, well, if that was the case, if that was inhibiting his downward progress, then all he had to do was deflate it. He didn't apparently think to do it, which is evidence to me that he wasn't thinking very clearly. Which is
I would
evidence
agree
to me
with that.
he was panicking.
Yes.
I don't know, and at that point he turned around and just left. Again, evidence that he's scared because maybe he already figured out that Tina was already dead, and figured there's no sense losing my own life trying to rescue her.
Much kind of along the same lines as what Devin was saying, as being a rescuer,
Although at the same time, I'm asking myself, well, is that really rational?
Because you have a whole tank of air.
You got a tank of air, and if you swim down a little farther, grab her, haul her up, really, what's the risk there?
But
Not
let's
much.
also add to that, right, the fact that he had already had that misfire with his computer. Or his dive
computer,
computer, right? So he may have already been a little in a weird mindset of like, well, maybe this computer isn't 100% accurate right now, right? Because I was having issues with it before. So maybe he's thinking, all right, I know I definitely have enough to get on this, short little scuba trip, but maybe he's thinking, he's already not thinking particularly clearly. He's probably panicking and thinking, oh my God, also, what if my computer is telling me that I have a lot more air than I actually have? What if, something malfunctions, blah, blah, blah. He's already panicking, and then he's trying to get down, and then he's like, oh, I've obviously used way more air than I should have, and oh my gosh, my computer, just a huge panic of all of that
all
stuff.
the
I mean,
possible
I
stuff
agree
that could go
that
wrong.
rationally above ground with no emotional trauma of watching
Above
your wife
water?
die.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, on ground, above water, to us sitting in a dry room without having just watched our wife die.
Yeah.
Of course, he had air to get down there and blah, blah, blah. But if he's panicking, he's having a panic attack.
I think he
he's
was.
not in his right mind.
Yeah.
It
makes sense to just beat feet out of there, and and that's because again, like you said, to us it looks simplicity itself. You just swim down there, grab her, haul her to the surface, alive or dead. At least you got her, and he just turned and left, and I think that's the sign. Again, and again, from where he went, he could have gone straight up. Instead, he goes back to the bow against the current, taking more time. Every decision was kind of the wrong one.
It was bad.
A lot of them were not rational. I think that he was. I think he was just panicking.
Yeah.
And I think he lost it. And I think that's why his story doesn't quite make sense. Is because he's never wanted to fess up entirely to the fact that he just lost it.
Well,
Pride.
here's a question. If he had had a panic attack, did he lose his scuba license?
Not that I know of, no.
So if he had admitted that he was incompetent, caused the death of someone, and, basically just
Well, I'm not-
ruined everything, would he have lost it? Probably, right?
Maybe, but I'm not sure how at that point how enthusiastic he was about scuba anymore. Anyway,
Right.
But he might not have
Well,
ever
and
gone
he-
scuba diving after that.
And I got to tell you, the whole thing of him saying, I want to scuba dive and I want to go on boats, and you need to learn to do it with me as well if you want to be with me. I mean, it again is it's weird to me because he'd been diving for at this point 10 years.
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
And he had only in 7 years logged 50 dives, and they were all like pool dives and little quarry dives.
Most
so
of
it's
them
not
were
as
not very shallow.
Yeah,
Were mostly
this is
shallow. Yeah.
not as if he was an avid diver and this was going to always be his thing,
Well,
which is why
yeah.
I agree with Joe that it's so easy to see him freak out.
Oh, yeah,
in a
no.
He
new
was a
scenario.
novice.
I
He was
agree
a
with
total
that.
novice.
I was
Yeah.
just going to say, to me, it's not that weird that he didn't go on. I mean, we don't know their financial situation. He probably couldn't afford. He lived in Alabama, right? It's
Yeah.
not like there are a lot of really great dive spots in Alabama, right? As far as I know.
I don't know.
I'm
know.
sure that we'll find out.
I'm sure we will.
Alabama is actually close to the Gulf of Mexico, so there's good diving down
It's
there. I hear,
Close, but,
Yeah. depending on where in the state you
and
are.
his financial situation,
True.
right?
Yeah.
So it may have been that he thought, all right, well, we're going to go someplace tropical for our honeymoon. I've always, I've been scubaing for 10 years. This is my chance to really get a great, nice dive in.
Oh, sure.
And obviously, I want you to do that with me because you're my wife and I love you. So
Yeah, I guess
You
at
start
26,
learning now.
they were 26 years old, both
Yeah.
of them. So yeah, financially, it's not as if they would be super well off. Okay,
No,
I'll,
not really.
I'll retract a little
But-
bit of my scorn.
I mean, you
about
can be
that.
at 50 and not be financially well off enough. I mean, you
I
could
mean,
be.
well, I'm at.
There's no stage of life where you can definitively say that person is definitely going to be able to afford to go scuba diving.
Well, I'm not exactly hurting for cash, but I got to tell you, it's just a matter of priorities. I mean,
Yeah.
I could actually, if I actually had to, I could afford to travel halfway around the world and go scuba diving.
Right.
I'm not going to.
But you're also
'Cause I
not
got-
26.
Well, there's that too. But yeah, but I just, no matter what the age, there's always something better to spend the money on.
Right,
You
like
gotta
buying a house and
really-
starting a family.
Yeah, exactly. But there could have been other repercussions too. I mean, he might have felt at least partially responsible if he felt like he had done something to contribute to her death.
Well, I think he did. I mean,
Yeah,
that body viewing
oh, yeah.
comments, that seems like
Oh,
he
yeah.
feels
Well, obviously,
guilty. Yeah.
yeah, he did in one way or another. But from a legal point of view, it's one thing to sort of say, "Hey, wouldn't it be great to learn how to scuba dive?" Because that sort of, contributed to her death. But that's not something you can throw somebody in jail for. But there are other things that you could conceivably say, "Well, that's manslaughter, dude. You screwed up. You screwed up, and you did this and this that contributed to her dying, and so you're going to go to jail." So
Like
you can
freaking
see,
out underwater
like
and
freaking
leaving
out
her.
and stuff, and you can see where he might finesse his story a little bit to make himself look a little better, not only from a standpoint of self-esteem, but also from a legal standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't want to get arrested or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of my theory there, is that it was an accident, an unfortunate thing, but his behavior probably wasn't entirely the best. And I'm not saying I would have been any better in that situation myself, but that's what I think most likely happened.
I agree.
Yeah, most likely. All right, so that's that story. Next week, Finding Nemo.
Solve the mystery.
Yeah. All right. Let me do a little housekeeping before we go here. You're a scuba diver. And by the way, I just want to say, I don't know if I said it before, this dive does not look that daunting to me. It looks actually fairly easy. I've
Looks
heard
fun.
it does look like a lot of fun. But I want to say, if you're one of these scuba diving types and you want to take issue with that, if you'd like to issue a challenge to me to go to Australia and do the dive, well, I will accept that challenge. Go
On
ahead.
your dollar.
Absolutely. You throw down that gauntlet and your wallet, and I will go to Australia and dive that wreck.
I knew that was coming.
Absolutely. And let me give you the way you want to get a hold of me through our email, which is thinkingsidewayspodcast@gmail.com. What else have we got? We got a website. You know what those things are, right? thinkingsidewayspodcast.com, where you can find our episodes. We have an episode list out there. You can download and listen to our stuff. on the website. We also have merch. You can buy T-shirts and mugs and all kinds of fun stuff. You can also find us on iTunes, where you can subscribe. You can rate us. You can review us. A good review, please. We like those a lot better. There's streaming services. What do we got? Like Stitcher and God knows what else. There's
Google
everything.
Play, all
Google
the
Play.
apps,
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, there's billions of them. And we're on social media, including Facebook. I don't know if you've heard of those guys or not. Apparently they're big. But we have a group and a page, so like the page, join the group. And there's lots of fun stuff going on, lots of back and forth and commentary and stuff. It's a friendly group. I think, there's no flame wars. I think everybody's really nice.
Yeah.
And
It's a very chill group.
it is. It's a great group. And I like our listeners. They're great people. And we're on Twitter. Thinking Sideways, leave that G out, and there we are. And we have a subreddit, Thinking Sideways. That's on Reddit. If you haven't heard of those guys, well, do a Google. That's REDDIT. We have a subreddit, and so go check it out. And that's about it. Until next week. Any final thoughts, you guys?
No.
I was going to make a swimming joke, but no, I got nothing.
Yeah, I can't think of anything either. So, all right, ta-ta till next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh, sounds like the beginning of I'm Not in Love. Doesn't
It's by Godley and Cream.
Yeah.
By 10cc.
Oh.
No, it's not. It's the end of Speed of Sound by the mighty Coldplay. And before that, you heard Banquet by Block Party. This is Adam and Joe on XFM.
How many exclusive interviews can there be with Coldplay?
How many have you read recently?
4. When do you have to stop using the word exclusive?
I think the term exclusive refers to the fact that the words in your interview haven't
Right.
turned up in, it's
So,
like...
so they were, but say Coldplay did a day of interviews.
Yeah.
10 minutes each, 50 journalists. They'd all be exclusive.
They would all be exclusive.
Because they're not saying exactly the same thing. Because I missed it.
I know. Well, I've got it on tape, man. I'll give you a copy.
I'm the greatest victim.
I've got it on
whole
tape.
thing.
I'm giving them out. It was sick, but amazing, and I'm giving it out. So,
Wow,
there
you're
you
so
go.
consistent.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be back very shortly.
Very good. They made a bit of a mess of the ending of that, didn't they?
Well, it sort of fell apart amiably.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
that was very enjoyable. Hard to Beat by Hardfire, and before that you heard Lila by Oasis. Now, Joe,
Yes.
you know...
Listen,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you something, Adam.
Sure.
What's this week's Virgin Megastore's album of the week, and how can I do things concerned with it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thanks.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I think it's Audio Slaves Out of Exile.
Oh, really?
Yeah, now, if you want to win...
I do. How can I win copies?
If I don't even know if it's copies, but if you just want to win... Lila, is it copies of the album? Okay. Yeah, Joe, if you want to win copies of Out of Exile by Audio Slave, can you please go to www.xfm.co.uk?
Yes.
Because it's the Virgin Megastore's album of the week.
Brilliant.
If you listen to Marsha on Monday from 10 a.m, she'll be giving away copies as well.
Well, that's exciting stuff, and Marsha's coming up after us, sitting in for Justin Lee Collins, is she?
Yeah,
That's
because
correct,
Justin's just had a baby. Congratulations, Justin, and your partner.
Wow.
We're very, very happy
He's given
for you.
birth to an extraordinary television career.
Yeah, a little
And a child.
hairy baby. So congratulations, guys. I hope you're both very well and happy. All three of you.
They're in Bristol. They can't probably come here.
I know, but I'm just sending it out into the ether.
Okay, then. Now, talking of television, I think television has reached a new low this week. I think something's gone wrong, specifically with ITV. I think ITV has broken. I think... I'm not joking. I think
was
ITV...
thinking, because I watched Monkey Trousers last night, and I didn't
Monkey
mind it.
Trousers was quite good.
It was quite
but
good.
generally, I turned on the telly at like 11:20.
Yeah.
ITV, and it's that celebrity love nonsense.
Oh, it's the live stream, yeah.
And it's the live stream, and it's just a blank picture of an island, and the text on the screen saying, for legal reasons, we apologise for the loss of sound or vision. This is for legal reasons. Now, to me, that might be all right on Channel 4 at 2 in the morning, but on ITV at 11:15 on a Saturday night, that's just fundamentally wrong.
I agree with you, although I think Channel 4 do live streaming from the Big Brother house at a similar time.
Do they?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I remember thinking...
I don't think they do. I don't think Live Big Brother comes on until after midnight.
Yeah.
I don't think Channel 4 would put a sorry for loss of picture. And it's such a specious apology anyway,
Yeah.
because they can put whatever they want on their channel. They're not, like, bound by the fact that what Fran Cosgrove is saying naughty, nutty words.
No,
they
you
could
think...
just put a cartoon on or something.
Exactly, a
Or
cartoon.
a pop video.
Or...
I think that's just beyond the pale. It's lazy and it's wrong. And it shows a terrible lack of imagination and etc. etc.
Yes, it's deeply cynical. Are you not watching Love Island, then?
Well, we could talk about how good Love Island is
Yeah.
in a second. But so that's reason one why television's sort of another nail in the coffin this week for ITV. The other thing is the flipping Crazy Frog.
That's out of hand.
Now, that used to be just on non-terrestrial stations.
Yeah.
But in the last couple of weeks, it's penetrated like an evil weed through to terrestrial. And now it's on non-stop on 5, 4 and 3.
Yeah.
In the middle of proper programmes.
And sometimes twice in a break.
In a single
one break.
Now, dum dum down, dum 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 down. Sometimes to Axel F.
Me.
And I like that advert. It's cute when it's on non-terrestrial, where there are different rules. But for it to go to terrestrial is deeply wrong. And the interesting thing is they've had more complaints about it than I think any other advert in history. I think they had 400 complaints within about 2 days of it going on terrestrial. And the complaints people have had to open up a whole separate website purely for Jamster-related complaints.
A Frog Division.
Frog Division complaints website.
Wow.
And it's not just about his froggy willy bits that we've talked about at great
Those are all
length.
censored, yeah.
Those are all censored now. It's just the fact that it is the most amazingly annoying advert ever, which was charming at first, and I feel we're partly to blame because we talked about it when it first emerged in an exciting, optimistic way.
Well, everyone's to blame if you look at it like that. People were, enamoured by it and thought it was funny and amusing, so they just leapt on it and squeezed every little miserable bit of juice out of the horrible frog that they could. But that's the nature of advertising, though. The weird thing about how cynical advertising has become is that now they sort of think this sort of thing is acceptable. You know what I mean? People are so jaded that they just expect to be bashed in the face repeatedly by these kind of adverts in a sort of Blade Runner way.
It's going to encourage people. I mean, I haven't got Sky or cable. I've only got Freeview, but now I think I'm going to get Sky because if adverts like that are on normal telly, then there's no longer any distinction between terrestrial and non-terrestrial.
Oh, they're on Sky, mate.
I know, but what I'm saying is I just give up this thing of sticking to the 4 terrestrial channels.
You need the box. You need the TiVo box.
I'm going to go TiVo. I'm going to go Sky Plus.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
And it's the frog what done it.
Get the advertisers, kids. Come on, let's do it together. Oh, that frog. XFM. The ever-dependable Foo Fighters with Best of You.
Yeah, their video was premiered on Channel 4, an exciting video exclusive last night. It was fairly average. It was just them singing in lots of close-ups of the microphone and Dave Grohl's mouth, and then them singing in a place. I don't know where. I think they should only do video exclusives if there's something sexy or violent in a video. That's what they used to do. It used to be like the Two Tribes premiere, Frankie Goes to Hollywood, or a Madonna video, or something dirty and late night, something banned.
China Girl, do you remember that? With Bowie rolling
China
about
Girl
in
with
the
Bowie's
surf?
butox. Oh. You don't want to just put a standard Foo Fighters video as an exclusive on Channel 4. Not the reason why television's going down the tubes.
Yeah, absolutely right, Joe. Brilliantly well said. Before we slag off more bits of TV, can I just say a couple of things that I really enjoyed?
What? Telly?
Yeah,
things would be different.
That's true, isn't it?
If the Adam and Joe show was still on, things would be very different.
Yeah, because then it would be brilliant.
Yeah, but Kevin Lygo from Channel 4 killed us.
He hates us.
He killed us.
The Thick of It. Did you watch that? You haven't got digital, have you?
No, but that's on BBC 4. The Thick of It is the new Armando Iannucci political brainiac satire. But listen, I'm worried that we're not going to have time before we start talking about that to give away these tickets for the Isle of Wight Festival.
Okay, we'll tell people now what they should do. I think
possibly our listeners might care more about that than Armando Iannucci's new show, even though maybe they shouldn't. But they might be desperately wanting these tickets.
Well, tell them what to do, and then I'm going to continue talking about it.
If you want these Isle of Wight tickets, one pair of tickets to the Isle of Wight Festival, 10th to the 12th of June. On the bill, Roxy Music, Idlewild, Morrissey, Magic Numbers, R.E.M., Snow Patrol, Feeder, Ray Davies. Then simply call us 0871 222 1049 and plead with us. Just give us a really good reason why we should give them to you. We're going to get 2 or 3 people on the lines. Then we're going to basically have a pathetic off.
Yeah, well, it's going to be ruthless. I think we should be ruthless, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, if you sound like... If we don't like you, you're not going to get them. Simple as that.
Yeah. It's going to be completely partisan, non-partisan, whatever that phrase is.
Yeah, partisan. Yeah, exactly. So, no, I recommend you watch The Thick of It to return to my original...
Can I give the number quickly?
Oh, my God.
0871 222 1049, 0871 222 1049 for those Isle of Wight Festival tickets. Call now. Carry on.
Yeah. So Thursdays on BBC 4, you can catch The Thick of It. It's very funny. Also, I thought Monkey Trousers was really better than it should be. Just very good, as you said, to see Vic and Bob doing amusing stuff.
Monkey Trousers is the big all-star sketch show on ITV's. It was at 10 o'clock last night. Vic and Bob, Mackenzie Crook and Ian Lee. Who else was in it?
John Thompson,
Steve Coogan.
Yeah, all sorts of people. But it was really pretty good. Ronnie Ancona and your impressionist man.
Oh yeah, Dave Spratt.
Chin Pointy.
Impressions.
Why can't I remember his name?
David Skittles.
The show's actually called after his name.
What's he called? The Brian O'Frenza show. Damien O'Crunk. I can't remember. Alistair McGowan.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was awful. Anyway, not him, but just that moment. But anyway, they were all in it, and it was pretty good. But Vic and Bob sort of ruled it, really. And there was a sketch in there that Bob Mortimer does, where he's kind of a clueless estate agent, and he's going around showing a house to someone, and just pointing at things and saying, that's the ceiling, and that's the toaster, and that's the floor, and there's a fridge, and these are the corners. There are many corners in the house, and that's just one of them there. And then she asks a question like, how long is the leasehold for? I don't know. And over there is the toaster, and basically just says, I don't know, to every single important question. But it was really funny, and it's going to be kind of a classic character, I think. That's my opinion. Maybe I'll be wrong, but...
Well, we'll be back in September to find out.
Yeah.
We'll actually, the first show back, we'll actually discover whether you're right.
Hey, speaking of Vic and Bob, though, people should really not miss Catterick. If you haven't watched it yet, it's on BBC 2 at the moment. It was originally shown on BBC 3. but it's amazing. It's really funny and some of the best stuff they've ever done, in my opinion. So you'd be an insane kind of moron to miss it.
I've spent all week watching the Dave Chappelle show on DVD.
Oh, yeah, is that good?
It's very, very funny.
I
Yeah,
don't know
really
much
good.
about Dave Chappelle.
Well, he's recently gone mad and booked himself into a mental hospital
Who
in
is he,
South
though?
Africa. He's America's biggest comedian.
Biggest?
The Dave Chappelle Show is the highest-selling comedy DVD in America. It sells more than The Simpsons and Futurama.
No.
Yeah. But he's recently gone mad because of the pressure of his third series.
Right.
Checked himself into a clinic in South Africa.
Oh, my goodness.
But if you can play American DVDs, I do recommend the Dave Chappelle Show.
Yeah, I might go out and invest in that.
That's our comedy recommendations for this week.
Thank you very much. Now, here's a free play. This is The Shins. That's nice, isn't it? That's Gone for Good by The Shins. That's maybe a bit too much of a pathetic track to play from that album, but it is an amazing album. Shoots Too Narrow, it's called, and I would invest in it if you haven't done already. This is Adam and Joe on XFM. Now, what are we going to do? We're going to talk to some people and give away some stuff.
Now it's time for us to give away tickets to the Isle of Wight Festival, 10th to the 12th of June. We've got 5 callers on the line. There's no sort of thing to do in this competition. All you have to do is you're going to have 10 seconds to convince us that you are the person who we should give these tickets to. So you can go whichever way you want. You can be aggressive and violent. You can be really pathetic. You can lie. You can tell the truth. Any technique you want. Please don't swear or say anything naughty. But you've got 10 seconds, these 5 callers, to win those tickets. So shall we go straight to the lines, Adam? Are you ready?
Okay, who have we got first?
This is going to be a real test for your fingers. You're mixing fingers.
Finger test.
Adam on the decks. We've got Natalie first. Hello, Natalie.
Hi.
Hi, okay. Her voice sounds nice. Okay, well, should we give her
How are
10
you guys?
seconds? Let's give you 10 seconds. Starting
what's she pitching for? What's she going to win?
to win the tickets to the festival.
Okay,
Isle of Wight
right.
Festival. Are you happy with what we're doing here, Natalie?
Yes, very happy.
You
If I
understand
win
you've
them.
got 10 seconds to convince us?
Yeah, that's fine.
Your time starts now. Go!
Hi, it's Natalie. I've never been to a festival before, and I finished uni this year, so what better way to celebrate?
You did what this year?
I've finished uni, my finals.
Time up!
Congratulations, Natalie. That was a
Finished
good effort.
uni.
Do we say who's won yet? No, we wait till the end.
Quiet,
Is
Natalie.
that good enough?
So, quiet, Natalie. No, that's 10 seconds are over. Sorry, we're being really ruthless. That's it.
Thanks
I'm
for
going
your
to make
call,
a note.
Natalie.
Finished uni, not been to festival before.
making me
We've got
anxious.
Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Hi.
Okay, Chris, your 10 seconds starts now. Go.
Okay, this year my whole life's gone wrong. I crashed my car, my wife's left me, my football team got relegated, I'm going to lose my job, and I really need something to cheer me up. Is that quick enough?
Yeah.
That was very good. There's a nice little sort of tummy noise as well in the middle of that, boy. That was extremely good. Is any of that true, Chris?
It's all true, sadly.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, Chris, awful life. I'm putting
Life.
down. Okay.
Brackets, no wife.
No wife. Okay, that's not true, is it, Chris?
I hope not.
that would be terrible.
We're not talking to Chris for the moment. Who else have we got now?
Andrew. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well. Your time starts now.
Good, okay. Well, last year I was at Glastonbury. I always wanted to see Morrissey, always wanted to see him, but my wife was ill. I had to leave early to go and look after my children.
Okay, that's very good. He's got children. He's bringing children into the game. His wife is ill, and he's obsessed with Morrissey.
Ill
Okay,
wife.
Ill
That's a-
wife.
that's
a good
crafty.
one. That's a good one. Well done, Andrew. Okay, Juliet, can she come up better with children, ill wife, or awful life? Are you there, Juliet?
Hi, yes I am, hi.
Okay, you've got 10 seconds starting now. Go.
Yes, I'm even more obsessed with Morrissey, and I live in Dulwich, so obviously you've got to feel really sorry for me because my life is really dull. Dullards unite, and I'm really skint, and I've got 2 kids as well, and I won't be able to get there, and it's essential to my well-being to see Morrissey. It's absolutely essential.
What are the name of your children?
Sophie and Charlie.
Sophie and Charlie.
What are the name of your children's?
Yeah, it's quite good, isn't it?
That is quite good. Well, that's
Good bit
pretty
of
good.
grammar.
But you know what, Julia? I live in Camberwell, very near Dulwich.
Oh, yeah,
And I don't like your tone about Dulwich. I went to school in Dulwich. I went to Dulwich College Preparatory School in a little cap and shorts, and I love Dulwich. So you may have made a boo boo. Our final contestant there is, what does that say? Richard. Is Richard?
Yeah.
Hello, Richard.
Hi.
Okay, so you got quite a challenge there.
Yes, I have.
Lot
I'll
of-
be okay.
A lot of really pathetic people out there. Can you be more pathetic than them? Your time starts now.
Yeah, I'm even more of an obsessive about Roxy music. I like to drink sherry with Brian Ferry and tell Morrissey to cheer up and tell him to forgive his parents.
Drink what with Brian Ferry?
Sherry with Brian
Oh,
Ferry.
sherry.
Sherry with Ferry.
So I can, batter my eyelids at him. I have very pretty eyes.
You've got very pretty eyes. That's
Yeah.
good. You see, no one else has gone for the pretty eyes. That's surprising that no one's gone for that. But you came in there at the last minute. Well done. Should we go to a record and make our decision during the record?
Oh yeah, that was exhausting. Thanks very much, you guys, for calling in there. And sorry we had to be so ruthless.
Are we going to
with you.
keep them on the line so that we can speak to the winner?
Okay, well,
Okay,
we'll,
this is so amazing. This is so tense.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's Block Party. No, it's not. It's the Magic Numbers. Fantastic. We're Forever Lost. Now, shall we resolve this little thing? We've asked people to phone in and pick seconds.
Why is there exciting music in the background?
Because it's exciting.
It is exciting, isn't it? Oh, yeah, that's right. We had 5 callers. They all plead with us. They gave us very good reasons why they should be going to the Isle of Wight Festival, 10th to the 12th of June. It's a sold-out festival with an amazing lineup. We've had to choose one person. It's been an extraordinary debate here in the studio while that record was playing. We knocked out Natalie.
We knocked out... What we did was we thought, we'll get rid of all the women.
Well, that's not true, is it, Adam? Well, the correct logic was we knocked out Natalie because she sounded a bit too posh.
Get rid of the women.
And she just graduated from university. She'd never been to a festival before. Sounded like she could afford to go to a lot of festivals. Is that right, Adam?
It wasn't the poshness. It was just she's a woman. We thought, let's get rid of all the women.
Well,
and then
because Juliet went next, because she said Dulwich was boring.
Yeah.
And I pretty much live in Dulwich.
Yeah.
So we were left with Chris, Andrew and Richard. Andrew, we didn't choose you because your wife is ill. You don't want to go to a festival while your wife is ill.
It'll
and
make
you've got
things
children.
worse, exactly.
That's terribly irresponsible.
Very
So we were just down to Richard and Chris, and our runner-up is Richard. Is he on the line? Hello, Richard.
Thanks anyway.
It's not very good, is it? Get you on and you being a runner-up, and not very good on our part to now sort of rub it in. Because there is
I'll
only...
try with 6 music later.
There you go.
But listen, Richard, we're going to give you a prize.
Really?
Can I ask you, do you actually like myself and Joe and our work on television?
I do. I love you. I'm going to go and see you in Edinburgh, actually.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Well, listen, we're going to give you a copy of the Adam and Joe DVD. Do you have it already?
Yeah.
Do you really?
I can give it one copy away.
Exactly. Spread the love.
Exactly.
I'll spread the joy.
But to go with that is an incredibly rare collector's item. It is my character Ken Corder doing a commentary over a edition of The Priory. It's something that I did to amuse myself, and of course it's never going to see the light of day on telly because, you know, it's not clearable. But it's yours now. You can have a copy and see what you think. And
I have like an autograph as well for like eBay and things.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sure, no problem. I've signed the video, and we'll sign the DVD
That
for
video's
you.
going straight on eBay.
Straight in the bin.
And, well, thanks very much there, Richard. Well done. But our winner is Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, are you excited then, having won?
Made all the pain and misery worthwhile.
We gave you the prize because we thought you probably prepared what you had to say. Did you write it down?
No, it just came to me.
Really?
I mean, it just came to me.
Well, you're a clever man. Who are you going to take to the festival?
One of my mates. I haven't decided yet.
Okay. Well, choose well and have a great time.
If we ever find out that any of those sad things are incorrect, we're going to make your life hell.
Yeah.
If we find out that your
If you
wife
find out
hasn't
you're
left
married
you.
and your life is brilliant. Is that true about your wife, Chris?
It's all true.
Did she really leave you?
Yeah, she did leave me. We only married a year. It's quite sad.
No. When did she leave you? How long ago?
A couple of months ago.
You see, you're going to have fun at that festival.
Yeah, I
You
am.
find yourself a new wife. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's really sensitive, man.
Sorry? I think Chris knows I'm not being
I
serious.
know. Listen, have a great time there. Thank you so much for calling in, all of you chaps that did phone in. Sorry we couldn't give prizes to all of you, but I hope you have a wonderful time there. This is Adam and Joe. Oh, we've still got to figure out what ditties in the dock is this week.
Oh, well, we'll have a think about that.
Okay, we'll be back shortly. XFM.
This is Adam and Joe on XFM. This is the last 15 minutes of our show until the winter, because we're taking the summer off.
Well, mid-September we'll be back, so it's not strictly winter. In fact, some of September can often be very pleasant.
It's true, the summer gets later and later in Britain.
It's true, isn't it? What's it? Is it raining at the moment?
Ooh, what's the weather like?
I'm going to cycle back now, so I don't want it to be raining. That's the only thing.
It's time, of course, for Ditties in the Dock. And we're being shamelessly self-indulgent because it's our last show before our summer break. We're going to offer you 2 of our very own Adam and Joe Show songs to choose from. Now, don't worry if you don't know the Adam and Joe Show or you think we're rubbish, because these are both...
Celebrate.
You did what this year?
I've finished uni, my finals.
Time up!
Congratulations, Natalie. That was a good effort.
Uni.
Do we say who's won yet? No, we wait till the end.
Quiet,
Is
Natalie.
that good enough?
So quiet, Natalie. No, that's 10 seconds are over. Sorry, we're being really ruthless. That's it.
Thanks
I'm going
for
to make a
calling,
note.
Natalie.
Finish. Hairy, short, famous actors. This song is it's more of a little play than a song. It casts Bob Hoskins as a sort of Dickensian street hero. And he sings a wonderful sort of Cockney knees up all about all the films he's worked on. It's a beautiful, moving piece of music, and it's a terrific tribute to Bob Hoskins, and it's the one you should definitely vote for. It's called Song for Bob Hoskins. It's from, I think, Series 3 of The Adam and Joe Show. And if you want to hear it, call 0871 222 1049. That's 0871 222 1049, and vote for Song for Bob Hoskins. Everyone who gets through and gets on the air will win a CD called Revolutions, which is an exciting anarchic compilation of lots of highly dangerous bands like Embrace, Phantom Planet, and stuff like that. All sort of XFM type music. So there we go. If you want to hear the Song for Bob Hoskins, call 0871 222 1049.
Alternatively, you could vote for our Robert De Niro Calypso. This is a tribute to the gigantically talented actor, which was written by, it was mainly written by Joe and Zach, our friend Zach, and I contributed some lyrics to the melange, and it's certainly one of the songs that I'm proudest of that we did on the Adam and Joe Show, and I'm not sure it's a real calypso, but we called it the Robert De Niro Calypso. And it sort of takes you through his work in a ludicrous way. And it was partly an excuse for me to do my Robert De Niro impression, which is a very visual thing, and just involves kind of turning the edges of your mouth down.
I tell you what, you can do it here in the studio while the record plays.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe they'll just get a sort of psychic impression of it.
Yeah.
So that's Ditties in the Dock this week. It's Song for Bob Hoskins or the Robert De Niro Calypso. Call 0871 222 1049. Which of those stars would you rather hear a stupid song about? Hoskins or De Niro? 0871 222 1049. Call now!
I like that.
It sounds like Pac-Man, doesn't it?
It's a good...
It's an Atari guitar noise.
Good little ending there.
Guitar-y noise.
Guitar-y noise from the Block Party with Banquet. Time to resolve Ditties in the Dock now.
And this week it's a shamelessly self-indulgent Ditties in the Dock. We're playing off 2 songs from the Adam and Joe Show, which is currently available on DVD from all good DVD retailers. It's our 2 tribute songs to famous actors, Bob Hoskins and Robert De Niro. We've got 5 callers on the line. Let's go straight to see who has won. Ursula, are you there?
I am indeed.
What are you voting for, Ursula?
Bob Hoskins, please.
Song for Bob Hoskins. Very good choice. You win a copy of Revolutions, an exciting compilation album. Are you excited about that?
I'm absolutely thrilled.
You sound very thrilled. Thanks for calling, Ursula. We're going to have to be quite quick on this because we're running out of time. James, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, James. What's it going to be? Is it going to be De Niro or Hoskins?
Hoskins, please.
Hoskins?
Yeah.
That's 2-0 for the Hosks.
2-0 for Hoskins? De Niro is, you know, come on. De Niro.
De Niro is.
Yeah.
We've got Daniel. Hello, Daniel.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm okay, thanks.
What are you voting for? Is it going to be Hoskins or De Niro?
It's got to be Bobby De Niro.
Bobby De Niro? Well done, there we go.
Have you heard these songs before?
I have. I've got the DVD.
Hey, good
nice
man. So there we go. Thanks for calling, Daniel, and thanks for buying our DVD. So what's that? 2-1 to Hoskins.
I need another couple of votes for De Niro, otherwise I'm in trouble.
Let's see if Gail can do that. Hello, Gail.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
You're very well. You sound bloody posh.
No, we live in Wales. There's no such thing.
Okay, well done for not being posh. Who are you voting for, Gail?
It's got to be De Niro.
Bobby De Niro?
It has to be.
This is gut-wrenching. So it's 2-2. Gail, well done. Thanks for calling. You win that album as well. So Ben, hello Ben.
Hi there.
So you've got the deciding vote. This is this is monumental.
It is. I feel the power running through me.
The deciding vote.
You the decider.
I think they call him the decidor.
The decider.
It's amazing. It's the last Ditties in the Dock before our summer break. Oh,
I feel so privileged.
It's so significant. It's so significant. So Ben, what's it going to be? Is it going to be Bob Hoskins or Robert De Niro? And again, leave a pause before you tell us the answer, like they do on telly. Who's it going to be?
A strangely long pause.
Yeah.
Right, my vote for Ditties in the Dock is Bob Hoskins.
Hey! That wasn't a very long pause.
Wasn't a very long
Still.
pause.
Oh, sorry, I should have a little drum roll or something.
Well done. That's fantastic. It's nice for the Bob Hoskins tribute song to get an airing.
That's great.
Thanks very much, Ben.
Okay, can I have your Priory DVD?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll send
brilliant.
you.
Thanks a lot.
It's not. Is it a DVD or is it a VHS?
Well, it's a VHS, but it's a spoof of a DVD.
That's fine. Yeah, that's great.
It's like a DVD commentary on VHS. It's part of the joke.
Great.
So thanks for calling.
Pictures as well, please.
Of course.
Oh, fantastic.
Thanks for calling, Ben. And hey, thanks
Ben.
to everybody who listens to our show
Ben
regularly.
sounded genuinely enthusiastic.
He did. He's lovely. All our
That was
callers
great.
are lovely. All our listeners are lovely. And we've had a great time over the last, whatever it's been, 8 months. And we'll be back in September. And we'll leave you in the capable hands of Ricky and Steve, who are coming back for 6 weeks. And then after them, who knows who it'll be?
Who knows?
Mystery presenters until mid-September.
And, you know, if you're in Edinburgh at all this year for the festival, do come along and see my show. It'll be called I, Pavel, about my sort of East European animated character. Before then, you can catch me and my comedy evening, the Out of Focus group, at the Zeta Hotel. Z-E-T-T-E-R. Look it up on the web and you can get details. The next one of my evenings is going to be on Wednesday the 15th of June. A few XFM listeners came along to last week's one and it was really nice to meet them.
I'm definitely going to come down. I lied and didn't come down last weekend because I went to see Darren Brown do magic.
You got to get your priorities straight,
but
man.
I'm definitely going to come down a week on Wednesday.
Fantastic. Well, listen, have a great summer, chaps. Don't die in the heat wave. And take care of yourselves, and we really look forward to being with you again in September.
Yeah, and this does have music in it, what you're about to hear. It starts off with a sort of a bit of cinematic drama. So try and paint a picture of Dickensian London, cobbled streets, tilty buildings, and along the street comes Bobo Hoskins.
God bless you.
God bless you.
One and all, bye.
Ooga booga, another beautiful morning in old London town. Here comes the baker's boy with his delicious fresh warm buns.
Morning, Mr. Hoskins.
Morning, son. And here's lovely Lily the flower seller.
Morning, Mr. Hoskins.
You're as pretty as the morning sun, Lily.
Thank you, Mr. Hoskins.
There's the hurdy-gurdy man. Morning, Mr. Hoskins. And here comes the pearly king and queen.
Morning, Mr. Hoskins. How are you?
Morning, your highnesses.
Yeah, Mr. Hoskins. Tell us one of your stories about the making of Super Mario Brothers, please.
Nah, you've heard them all 1,000 times.
Sing us a song, Mr. Hoskins. Please, Mr. Hoskins.
All right, but on one condition.
What, Mr. Hoskins? Anything.
That from now on, you all call me Bobo.
Sing us a song, then, Bobo.
All right, then. Wow, tickle me fancy, have a banana, what a palaver, roble and bush, apples and pears, scruffle me nuts, I'm off to step me to waggle me brush, long me Good Friday, ragging me Rawny, Roger me rabbit, Mona me Lisa, Mer me maids, blue me ice, spank me behind for just 2 and 6. Come on, everybody! Wow! Tickle me fancy, have a banana, what a palaver, rubble and bush, apples and pears, scruffle me nuts, I'm off to step me to waggle me brush, rattle me spoonies, nibble me knob, shiver me timbers, corn on the cob, shuffle me bobkins, tackle me tits, tidy me pipkins, fiddle me nips, polish me pearlies, apples and pears, buckets of fun and a barrel of laughs, naughty old Nancy slapping her knees, Susie on Sally, jelly me heels, long me Good Friday, ragged me Rawny, Roger me rabbit, Mona me Lisa, cockle me coppers, twizzle me stick, spank me behind for just 2 and 6.
Go on, Mr. Hoskins. Sing us another,
Yes, what about
please.
one more, Mr. Hoskins? Sorry, everybody, that's all I've got time for.
Oh, please, Mr. Bobo.
Now, children, Mr. Hoskins is a busy man. We heard you've agreed to appear in a low-budget film for only 2pence an hour. That's right, and I'm going to be late if I don't hurry up. Bless you, Mr. Hoskins, you're 1 in a million.
Good day to you, Mr. Hoskins.
Good day to you too, son. You stay out of mischief.
I'll try my best, Mr. Hoskins. Good day, Mr. Hoskins, sir.
Toodle pip, Lily. Be lucky. Good day to you, Mr. Hoskins. Ah, what a perfect morning. Ooga booga.
XFM. Eminem, Lose Yourself on XFM 104.9. I'm Ricky Gervais, with me Steve Merchant.
Hello there.
But not Carl Pilkington.
No.
He's
No.
gone back to Manchester, isn't it? It's better than London.
Yeah.
You don't know it. You don't know it. Manchester's better than London. Instead, Claire Sturgis.
Claire Sturgis round of applause for Claire, yeah.
Thanks, yeah, thanks.
The
Yeah.
posses.
Yeah, he's coming there in sort of the camouflage gear, and is that quite trendy? Is that what the kids
Yeah,
are
do you know,
wearing
it's
there?
funny. Someone actually mentioned
Or
that
are
this
you on
morning.
manoeuvres?
Yeah,
I am
exactly.
actually,
Yeah.
taking time out
Yeah.
this morning from what I normally do.
Sure.
I missed the second half, talking like that, of Celebrity Boot Camp.
I don't know what that
Coolio.
is it?
The fella from Milli Vanilli.
What, the one that's not dead?
Eh?
No, the one that killed himself,
Sure.
Steve.
Okay.
Um,
No, I just want to clarify for people. A lot of people don't realise that one of them is dead.
right.
I thought it was important to mention it.
Actually, yeah, I didn't know.
I'll be honest with you, I hadn't thought it through.
No.
It was a piece of interesting Milli Vanilli trivia that I had, and I wanted to slip it in.
But it
I
wasn't
could
really
have found- I'll tell
trivia,
you what,
because
I
it was a
could-
question. You went, what? The one
Rick,
who's not
what
dead.
I'm saying, Rick, is I could have found a more tactful way of bringing up the death of one of Milli Vanilli, because I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
people out there now upset. Maybe Claire
Actually,
didn't
yeah,
realise.
people who didn't know.
That's quite a shock. I didn't see. I mean, I should have sat people
Who
down. I
did?
should-
Who died? Vanilli or Millie?
I think it was Millie.
No,
Oh,
it's
right,
been
okay.
Lily. What?
I don't know.
No,
which
but I
one.
didn't know.
Oh,
I'm
that
guessing.
is-
Actually, I'm guessing.
What
Wait, no, I'm
about
not
that?
confusing Milli
But-
Vanilli and Scritti Politti, am I? Because I mean that is a danger.
Oh no, you're thinking of the fellow out of Grumple Palumple. He was amazing.
He was amazing. It's a great shame that he topped
Grumple
himself.
Palumple, they're not around this. Anyway, cool, we've got some great tunes lined up. We're going to play today
our favourite singles.
It's
of the year.
favourite tunes, some of which didn't quite make it as singles maybe, but tunes of the year, because obviously Christmas very soon and we'll be away for a short time. And,
I think next week we'll be doing our favourite Christmas songs of all time.
Yeah, I'm worried we're not going to fill 2 hours with that. I mean, how many times can you play Shakin' Stevens before...
Fairies Out of New York.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the only one, isn't it, really?
That's the best one. That's the best Christmas song
That one's good,
ever.
but obviously there's Joni Mitchell's The River. That starts with a kind of Christmassy feel.
Beautiful.
I don't think if there's anything else. Not great deal.
The Waitresses, Christmas wrapping.
Is that one?
Is that brilliant? Is that good?
Yeah. So This Is Christmas. John Lennon. Paul McCartney came out with Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
Christmas time, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but so John's was Happy Christmas War is over.
Yeah.
Of course it wasn't, but
but I mean, at least he wanted to be.
He was dreaming of it. He was dreaming of it.
Yeah. I mean,
and bless him.
And to show how much he hated
John Lennon's dead as well. I don't know if anyone's...
Yeah, no, they do.
Oh, that's just another bit of
I
rock and roll
like
trivia.
John's protest against war. He stayed in bed for a week.
Yeah.
I've been doing that. I've been protesting against war for ages.
Yeah.
I'm eating hamburgers
absolutely.
against war.
Absolutely.
I just got into Burger King on the way here.